Hello. I wanted to talk today about mystery schools and the tarot and how they link. And I think people I've come across as students or that are interested in tarot cards, there's a link there. People are usually interested in a lot of the worldwide teachings that are out there today, metaphysics, and a lot of them, I think, try to tie the two together. And I never really saw a connection between the two. At least not where you're going to see it, where it's going to be taught to you in these mystery schools. I was involved with, my mother was always involved with worldwide, what you would call mystery schools. I'm not going to say names of these places because I don't want to put anybody in I don't want to say anything that's going to be argumentative with other people about these places. They're all great. They all do wonderful things, and that's great. But I don't think that you're going to find much material or information about tarot cards if you join these older traditional mystery schools. I'm sure that they have schools out there. I know they have a lot of schools out there about tarot cards. But if you think that you're going to find much material by joining some of these schools on tarot, schools on metaphysics, I don't think you're going to find much on tarot cards. I was involved, like I said, my mother was always involved with it. So at an early age, I was involved with metaphysics because of her interest. And at 5 years old, I remember getting lessons, metaphysics, with a candle on the table, and she would give me lessons because the schools that she was going to offered those for children. And her friends were also involved with this. So a lot of people that I met growing up were people that were interested in this as well, and I grew up with that environment. But you're not going to find much teachings about tarot cards. You'll find, usually mystery schools have teachings about God, where you go after you leave here, and what your purpose is here, which usually strives to be attaining some type of perfection. That's going to enlighten us and make us more evolved and all that. And for somebody who's been exposed to this all my life, and I'm 67 years old, I could say that even talking to my mother, when she was a lot older, she had a trunk full of what was called monograms or lessons that you would get twice a month or once a month, whatever it was, over the years. And she said, "You want them, you could take them." You know, she says it's the same stuff over and over again. She says, you know, it's nothing. But usually mystery schools imply that in some way that we're going to connect you to a higher source somehow. It's going to be linked, that you're going to have all this knowledge. And so either the founder of the mystery school will have had a link to some master, usually it's called a master, and you are an initiate, a neophyte if you're just starting out. And this person that has a direct connection, you will study what this person's learned, guide you along. Or the mystery school has it set up where you're going to develop over time where you have a direct connection personally with a higher self, a higher power, and this is what's going to make you evolved. And I never really cared for any of that. I think if you want to study metaphysics, a lot of that is old stuff. So I think you're better off with newer names today. Matter of fact, I was just talking about that in a class. Names like Ken Wilber, Louise Hay are two names right there. There's a few of them out there. Myself, I always liked Alan Watts, but he was big in the 60s. And a lot of books on him. You could YouTube Alan Watts. W-A-T-T-S. Alan, A-L-A-N. And you'll find all sorts of stuff on him now. When I was studying Alan Watts, it was all pocketbooks about his teachings. But he always agreed with me. I always liked what he thought. And his thinking, he ended up being a leading authority on religious psychology and Zen Buddhism and Christian and Western and Eastern connections between religions and spirituality. And his way of thinking is, we are the universe. We are God. And we are already perfect. And we come here to experience life. And that's all we do. We're not here to learn anything. We're not here to achieve anything. We're just here to experience. And this is pretty much his thinking. And I always liked that. So with mystery schools, you're here to learn. And that's your purpose. And you're supposed to be learning things. Like a school. Where Alan Watts looked at it more like life was more like a dance. And we just did this because it's enriching. And we don't dance to get from one side of the room to the other. We dance to experience the dance. And that made more sense to me. And he says that we're not here to gain anything. What could we possibly gain when we already are everything to begin with? If we are God. And that's his thinking. That we are the universe. And we are witnessing and experiencing ourselves from billions of different points of view here. Each one of us being a point of view. So we are perfect. And when we go back to our natural environment, we are a perfect situation. So we come here to experience this whole thing. And we will have weaknesses and challenges and joys and everything else. It's just all part of it. And I like that. I think it's a good way to look at it. And you could have this experience, and you could, after you're done, you could look at it and say, well, look back and say, well, how did I do? And come back and do it again. So anyway, as far as tarot cards go, I haven't really found any real material from those old schools about tarot. You'll find very, very little. Again, there's schools out there on tarot, but they're not the old classic mystery schools. Arthur Waite, who made the Rider-Waite deck, he was involved with, I forgot the name of the school, but I think that he would have never guessed that he would be known for his tarot cards, because I don't think that was a big deal to him. I think that was just something he was doing on the side. But I think he would have rather been known as a mystic or someone like that. So the tarot is, it has a link. There's a connection there between that and that type of energy, but I think it's more of the unknown connection. Our lack of knowledge about what intuition is, lack of knowledge about our own minds, and which is why the tarot is so mysterious, because it does work. And the more we understand about ourselves, the more we're going to understand the tarot. So maybe I'll start a school here. I'll start an elementary mystery school. Now, if you want to learn tarot cards, my personal opinion on that is you can do fine just by pursuing any interest out there, whether you want to go to a school or you want to just watch YouTubes like mine and get a deck of cards and move along with it. But you don't even need to know the secrets of the universe to learn how to use tarot cards. And that's about all I can say about it. Like I said, I was raised with it, and I knew a lot. I was fortunate enough to know a lot of people involved with it because my mother was, like I said, involved with this. So as people would come to the house, they would be visiting. There were also people involved with this. Some of them very amazing psychics and wonderful people. And my mother was married 8 times, and 3 of them, I think, were involved with mystery schools just like her. And that's how they met. I wasn't living with her all those times, but she was involved 8 times. I remember that because her last husband, she was dating a guy named Andy and a guy named Henry. And I wanted her to marry Henry so I can call him Henry VIII. But she didn't. She married Andy. And she died single. So, but I was fortunate enough to meet a lot of people and grow up with that information, with that environment. And there wasn't much about tarot cards there. So anyway, I hope this helps throw some light or shed some light on direction as far as if you want to learn tarot cards. I don't think that you're going to find much there from the old traditional schools out there. It's more about what we're doing here, why we're doing it. And a lot of that I don't even really agree with. I think if you want to know about metaphysics, I think it's easy today. I think you can, again, that name Alan Watts, that's who I studied under. Not under directly, but I read a lot about his work. And there's all sorts of YouTubes about him now. You don't have to read them out of books anymore. Alan Watts is something I think you'll find very interesting. At least I did. And it really doesn't tie into the tarot, though, at all. Because I know a lot about metaphysics, and I know a lot about the tarot, and I can honestly say you can connect the two, but do you need to? No, I don't see any reason to. So anyway, oh, by the way, this is my mat. I'm going to show a picture of that. It's going to be for my tarot cards. It's 24-inch square. I'm working on it now. I'm having a ball with that. I got to stop working on it though because it's March. I have to start working on my next book. But it'll be out sometime this year. I'm in the process of working on it now. Have a good day. Keep throwing cards. Stay healthy. Take care.